Howdy, it's Jim Morado, and this is the middle of May 2022. We're at Lost River Cave in Bowling Green, Kentucky. In fact, we just bought tickets and they told us the tour was starting, so we're a couple of minutes late for a tour and we're running down to join that tour. So we actually missed just the part where they take our tickets. But yeah, we're at Lost River Cave in Bowling Green. I put up another video about this a couple weeks ago. I went down there with a buddy, and they weren't doing tours that day, so I just kind of filmed us walking around. But this is an actual tour. We've got a great guide named Hannah, and I'm going to shut up and let you listen to her because she is excellent.
Alright, welcome to the first stop on our tour. We are at Blue Hole number 4. This is the 4th blue hole on our property and the one that is closest to our cave. It is blue because of the calcite deposits that you can find in the water. Calcite gets along with most colors and is able to absorb them except for blue and green. So instead of absorbing those colors, it reflects it. So it will be reflecting green from the trees around it and the nice blue sky above us. Yes, that's why I say blue hole. Now, I did mention the bottomless man-eating pit part, and that's the thing that most people really catch on to. It tends to stand out, you know. So back in the 1800s, we did have encampments of Union and Confederate soldiers in our valley at different points during the Civil War. They were here for hospital and ammunition storage mostly, but while they were, taking breaks from all of that, they noticed that there is a hole in the ground filled with water, and that is a great place to go swimming. Yeah? Yeah, why not? Some of you may also have experience with 18 to 24-year-old guys. The larger the group is, the more bad decisions tend to be made. And so they have a legend of these 4 guys who swam in this hole who decided to have a contest to see who could dive down to the bottom, grab a rock, come back up, and be the fastest. So the first guy, he dives down to the bottom, and he is never seen again. The second guy says, I'm going to dive down, grab a rock, grab my buddy, and he dives down and is never seen again. And the third guy decides that he's going to dive down and get either one of his buddies. He dives down and is never seen again. The fourth guy by this point has started to see the pattern, and he makes the smart decision to jump out of the blue hole, run up that hill, and tell everyone not to go swimming in that hole because it swallowed 3 of his friends and he never saw them again. And word spreads around about Bowling Green's bottomless man-eating pit until a professor in Tennessee hears about it and said, that's impossible. Bottomless pits can't be filled with water. The logic doesn't track. So he came out here with the intention to prove them wrong, and he used a very scientific method called sounding to measure the depth of our blue hole. Sounding is when you tie a rope around a rock and throw the rock in the water. Very scientific. So he threw that rock in the water, and as the rock sank down to the bottom, he let out more rope and let out more rope and let out more rope and let out more rope until eventually the rope got tight, and then he pulled all that wet rope out and measured the depth. Any guesses to what he measured the depth to be? Shout them out.
50 feet.
50 feet?
200 feet.
200 feet?
400 and something.
Huh?
400.
400 something?
Yeah.
Actually, yes. 437 feet is what he measured our depth to be, to give you an idea. This tree right here is about 100 feet tall, so if you stack 4 of those on top of each other, you would get pretty close to the depth that he measured. In the 1920s, Ripley's, believe it or not, came out here, took a look and said, yep, that seems legit, 437 feet, and we got the title of the world's shortest, deepest river. Hooray! Yeah, they put a big old sign out front that everyone I'm sure saw today when they came in. Did you see it? No. You guys saw it, right? You didn't see the Ripley sign. Good. It's no longer around. We had to take it down because when WKU bought the property in the 1990s, WKU is Western Kentucky University, they bought the property in the 1990s, came out here, said we need to fact check this, remeasure, and they used a completely new and more advanced scientific method called the grad student is expendable, put them in a boat, and give them a long stick, and that's exactly what they did. They put a boat out in the middle of that water, put a grad student in the middle of the boat, gave him a long stick, and told him to poke around. He came out to an average depth of 17 feet. I see confused looks. Yes, so what we found is that he was actually measuring the length of the river and not the depth, because we have two rivers here. We have our top current, which is nice and smooth and slow, and then we have our bottom current, which flows about 90 gallons a second. So that rock got caught up in that bottom current, and it took from all the way where that first deck is under our feet to the mouth of our cave. And he was measuring the length. So we're gonna start heading down to the mouth of our cave now.
Okay, and that was a good explanation of the famous blue hole at Lost River Cave. It's always a little confusing to me. It's still, I guess, something interesting to see, but the cave itself coming up is much more interesting. There are some other spots where you can do like a cave boat tour. I know the Gorge Underground has something similar at the Red River Gorge. There's also a couple of caves in southern Indiana that do like a cave boat tour. And I know there's a place, I can't think of the name of it right now, but it's kind of around where Tennessee and Alabama kind of meet in that area that does a really nice boat tour. But there are places, but this isn't too far from Mammoth Cave. So if you're doing a Mammoth Cave area tour, this would be something you could kind of add on and get to spend some time in the great city of Bowling Green.
I was out here a few weeks ago with a buddy, but you guys have closed because of the weather. And we walked all over the place.
Yeah.
They were real nice about letting us walk around, but they weren't doing the boat tours.
Yeah, if we are flooded, we'll let people walk down here. But if we're not flooded, we got to keep these trails clear for tourists.
It's kind of a treat to come and walk around and,
Yeah. All right, we're gonna stop our route right here. I'm gonna stand in front of everyone. I didn't like that. Okay, cool. Okay, fine. That brings me up to 28. Okay, great. All right, welcome to the mouth of our cave. We have one of the largest natural cave openings this side of the Mississippi. We're about 150 feet across from point A to point B. We have a very long milling history here because people would see the river and they would think to themselves, I can build a mill and profit. Unfortunately, we've also reached the lowest point in 55 square miles, which means that we flood often. 1 inch of rain up on the surface is equal to about 1 foot of flooding down here. And flood waters and wooden mills don't really tend to mix, and so those mills would get flooded and then pushed into the back of our cave. That happened for a lot of years before a man named Mr. Perkins came around in the 1920s and bought the property, and he decided he was going to do something different. He built this mill behind me for a different purpose. He used the hydroelectric power generated by that mill to power his cavern nightclub. Yeah, our cave stays about 55 degrees year-round, and this was pre-AC in the 1930s. And on a hot summer night, coming down to a cavern nightclub to grab a drink and listen to the hits of the day was a pretty good idea. And he had a very successful business. So successful, in fact, that Dinah Shore, Ella Fitzgerald, and the NBC Orchestra all performed live down here at different points. Rolling Stone magazine did a write-up on our little cavern nightclub and called it the coolest place in town. Ah, get it? Yeah. Mr. Perkins had a very successful business with his jazz music, but unfortunately in the 1950s, rock and roll came around, and Mr. Perkins hated rock and roll. I know. Bummer. He said it was the devil's music, it would never play in his nightclub, and he refused to play it. Unfortunately, his older clientele were no longer in the nightclub nights lifestyle, and the younger generation didn't want to come down and listen to old people music in a stinky old cave. And so unfortunately his business did close down in the 1950s, and he then deserted the land. People did know that this was down here, and National Road is just on the other side of those cliffs, and this became the largest illegal dump site in the area. I am talking washers, dryers, frames of cars, mobile homes and RVs are all things that we have found to be thrown down here besides just the usual trash in the bags. That happened for many years, and every 100 years we get a big old flood called the 100-year flood, besides just the regular flooding. So when that happens, the water will lift anything that is down here and push it back into our cave. The 100-year floodwaters typically get up to about where that tree is coming out of those rocks. And so all of that trash that was about where we are standing got pushed back into the cave, and we are in the dark era when people were doing that, unfortunately, but a bright light shines through. WKU, remember they bought the property in the 1990s, came out here, saw the trash, and said this is unacceptable. Together with a group of volunteers, they were able to pull out all of that trash, and they ended up pulling out 55 tons of trash from our cave. Yes. And after all that hard work, they said, we never want this to happen again. And they formed the Friends of Lost River Cave, which is the organization that still operates the property to this day. We are completely non-profit. We receive no state or federal funding. We're only funded by you guys by purchasing your boat tickets today. Any purchases you make up in our gift shop, and generous donors are all what help keep our lights on and help us continue our mission of conservation and preservation. And we are so happy to be able to share the cave and the rest of the valley with you. So thank you guys for being here today, and I really hope you enjoy all the history and the rest of our tour. Questions? I threw a lot of history at you in a very short amount of time. Any questions at all? You have a question? No? Are there any fish in there? So we do get accidentals who are washed in when we flood. Like I said, we flood, everything drains down here because we're the lowest point, and so sometimes fish will get caught up in those flood waters and be washed into here. Yes? Can you go swimming? No. I would not recommend swimming or drinking this water at all, because even though it flows underground for a majority of its journey, everything drains into it, and that includes gasoline, sawdust, other things that people kind of just throw into creeks. Everything drains down here, and that's really bad. That's actually what sparked people to do something about the trash, is the town's water started to taste kind of funny, and they said we need to investigate. But yeah, any other questions? Anything at all? No? All right. Can I get into the most exciting part of our tour? Yeah. Road safety. That is actually a great woo. That's the biggest woo I've gotten on a tour. So, we will be on boats today, which means everyone will need a flotation device of some kind. If you are 12 and under, if I could please see your hand up in the air, wave it like you just don't care. Thank you, thank you. You guys will be getting very cool and very fashionable orange life jackets today. They will go over your head. There's a black strap that will go around your waist, buckle in the front, and we would like to make sure that that is snug but not tight. If you have anyone who is really small, which looks like we don't, but if there are issues fitting life jackets, there are different sizes. Try a bigger or smaller size, and we'll get you guys fitted. Anyone who is 13 or older, if you could raise your hand, please. Wave it in the air like you just don't care. Yeah, that's all my adults. Good job, guys. You will be getting something even cooler than life jackets today. You will be getting red foam squares. They're about the size of a pizza box. Unfortunately, no pizza. Please don't try and eat them. That would be bad. While we're on the boat, you can go ahead and use them as a nice little cushion. Go ahead and sit on them. The boats might be a little bit cold, a little bit wet, a little bit dirty, so using them as a cushion is encouraged. However, what's not encouraged is wearing them as a backpack. You will see that there are two straps on the red foam square. You might be tempted to wear it as a backpack. Please don't. If you should fall in the river as you're wearing it as a backpack, you will float like this and drown. And that is a move we call natural selection. I don't want that to happen today. So please make sure you are not wearing it as a backpack. If you don't wear it as a backpack, first of all, good job following directions. If you should find yourself in the river, I will then be able to toss you that red foam square. You can hug it to your chest at that point and you'll float like this. You will be able to continue breathing, which is something we like to see. Okay. If you should find yourself in the river, I'll give you 15 seconds to freak out, and then I'll politely ask you to stand up and get back in our boat. Our river is only about 4 feet deep at any given point, and you can walk through it if you needed to. That being said, we're all ready to get in. We just have to split you guys, so I'm going to just preemptively, I'll split you guys here, and you have 13. And then push you guys into here. 15. Alright, perfect. Cool. So you guys are going to be group one. Group one, you get to do my friend Claire here. You guys, you're group A. Everyone wins today. You guys are stuck with me. Alright. Group A, we're going to come on down. We're going to grab all our safety stuff.
And again, Hannah was pretty darn funny. We really loved her as a guide. I wanted to mention a couple things. I'm trying to keep this as complete of a tour video as possible to give you a rough idea of what's going on. A couple little glitches here and there. That's just where I was making sure my battery was going. But otherwise, this is pretty much a full, complete video of our tour. And I hope you enjoy it. Of course, the video never does justice to the actual experience. I hope you make it down there and actually buy a ticket and go on the boat tour. I think for 2 adults it was just under maybe $50 to do this little boat ride, which actually is a pretty good deal if you compare other cave boat tours. But I just wanted to mention that real quick too.
Alright, this is where I get to do my Vanna White impression and direct your lovely attention to these signs. Please do watch your head. If you are taller than me, there is a low-hanging rock. I will point it out to you. Most people are taller than me, so they all have to duck. There we go. Please watch your head. It is called Knockout Rock. Don't find out why. We don't want you to have that souvenir today. When we get on the boat, please make sure you remain seated at all times. If we're up and down, we will rock the boat, and we don't want that to happen. Also, make sure you keep all hands, articles, everything inside the boat. We don't want anything to get pinched. We don't want to be touching cave formations and the like. Please do not push me into the water. I've had children ask me what this word means and if they can push me in. So now I have to make sure it's clear that tipping is okay, but not tipping me into the water. That's not okay. There is one step here. We're going to head down our ramp.
You go first.
She said, don't push me back in the water.
Right here above me is our knockout rock. Please watch your head. How many did you guys have?
Just the two of us.
2? And you guys also had 2? Perfect. So if you guys want to go ahead and get on this side?
Sure.
Sit on top of that blue tape line there, alright?
Sure. Is it okay to put the flotation device there first?
Yeah. That's what it's for.
Cool. Thank you.
Right over then. I'm going to put you
Sit on top of the blue tape line for me.
3. I'm going to put you guys on this side.
And I just thought I would mention, obviously we're in a cave and we're loading on a boat, so yeah, my camera work might not be the best and we're going to lose focus a time or two, but that's okay. Again, I want to leave this unedited so you can get a rough idea of what the boat tour is like exactly.
Y'all's glasses on the tops of your heads, just be aware if you're looking up, they're going in. We're not going to get them.
I'm not going to leave this one, but yeah.
Hey, you never know. You never know. I mean, they could just go, woo! If you're having a great time on this boat, you're like, woo!
Yeah. They didn't go anywhere when I was whitewatering it. I think this might be a little calmer.
The thing that probably the most that's in the water is our walkie-talkies and cell phones. Oh yeah. Because I mean, you're like, oh, it's in my pocket, it's good, and then you step, and then it goes, whoop, like just pops right off.
Yep, I'm not It's gonna stay in the person.
It's not a crazy ride. We're gonna be fine.
It's not a tour if I don't clip my foot there. There is a low-hanging rock behind me called the Wishing Rock. If you don't duck, you'll wish you had. So please do duck into the center of our boat.
Has anybody ever freaked out?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Not on my tours yet, but yeah. Don't worry guys, this is only the first 20 minutes of our tour.
Yeah.
For anyone who's actually nervous, it's about 10-15 seconds. We are almost at the end. Watch your heads here, it gets just a tad lower. Look above you before you sit up and I will let you know back of the boat. Hang on, hang on, hang on, hang on. All right, we're clear.
Good.
You guys are clear, you can sit up now. We're good. Yep, we're good. Great, thanks. All right, we're coming up here to the first stop on our tour. This is our flow stone. It gets its name from the water that is actively flowing over it because we're real creative with names. As the water flows over it, it is leaving behind deposits of calcite. That calcite is what helps this rock to grow, and it will take about 100 to 500 years for this to grow 1 cubic inch. To give you an idea, 1 cubic inch is about the size of the marshmallows that you'll drop in your hot chocolate. This lovely peanut butter brown color is what we like to see. It is healthy flow stone. This is not so great. That is a black scar because back in the day when Mr. Perkins owned the land, right here above us, just about, he had a cow pasture. And cows do 2 things, they go moo and they poo. Yes, and this is our pollution scar. As we're moving into our breakdown room, I always like to point out our cave dragon. You can see his nose, his mouth, and his eyes. Into our breakdown room here, so if anyone needs to have a good cry, this is a place to do it. It actually gets its name from all of the rocks that you see along the shoreline. Everything that you see was once above us on the ceiling, but those 100-year floods, those waters come in fast and furious, and they erode away at the rock until it can no longer hold itself up on the ceiling. Eventually, that means the rock will break down to the bottom and become part of the shoreline. Kylie is going to be parking us up against these rocks here, so please make sure all elbows, hands, everything is inside the boat. We don't want to get any pinched fingers. Please don't reach out and touch. We do have active formations along these ridge lines and we want to keep them active. Direct your attention back up to our ceiling once again. You will notice that it is a very smooth ceiling compared to a lot of other caves. That is because of those 100-year floods. Even though we are a decently old cave, we don't have a lot of formations like other caves because of the floods. We do have some stalactites, and these will take 100 to 500 years to grow about 1 inch. And every 100 years, when those floodwaters come in, it takes off that 1 inch that they just grew. So we don't have anything that's too big. Besides this praying hands stalactite above us, or behind us, this is our biggest stalactite here at Lost River Cave. It's about 2 feet long at this point, which means it's just under 5,000 years old. And it has been able to grow and become that size because it's actually a bunch of stalactites that have grown and formed to become one, and through that they're able to withstand the 100-year floods. Now, has anyone felt any of those cold droplets on your heads?
Yes.
Yes. Those are called cave kisses. Each cave kiss is worth about 2 weeks of good luck, and they do accumulate as we're moving through the cave. So do keep track of all the good luck that you should be having coming your way at the end of our tour. And we're going to be parking up against these these rocks here in just a moment. We'll probably just float along for a moment here. And as we're doing that, I'll direct your attention this way to our inactive flow zone. You may notice something is crucially different compared to the one that we saw at the beginning. If you notice it, go ahead and shout it out. It's dry, yes. There is no water actively flowing over it. That's why it's inactive. When they expanded Natural Road, which runs about right here above us, from 3 lanes to 5 lanes, they actually cut off the natural spring that feeds this flow zone. In doing so, we no longer see water actively flowing over it, except for maybe when we have very heavy rains. We'll see some trickles coming through, but not as much as we once did. It just goes to show you what we do on the surface does have an effect on the environment below our feet. We do get to see all this lovely cave drapery here though. It is also called cave bacon because it looks a lot like sizzling bacon. And we have a bunch of other fun shapes to show you. We have our cave mummy here. You can see his head, his shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes. He looks a lot like a guy who fell asleep on his side, right? And then we have our cave bonsai tree here. And I'll turn off my light in 3, 2, 1. Sometimes it's a little bit easier to see it that way. Yeah. We also have one of our off passageways right here. This is our emergency exit, as we have lovingly called it. Is anyone interested in taking our emergency exit today?
It's kind of small.
Why is it the emergency exit?
Just stay here. It is the emergency exit because if you should take it, you'll meet up with us about on the other side of the wishing rock. Again, you'll be crawling through about 1/4 to 1/2 mile of 2 to 3 inch very thick and very sloppy mud. Don't worry, you won't be alone back there. You'll make plenty of friends with the cave spiders, cave centipedes, cave millipedes, cave crickets, all the fun things, and then you'll meet back up with us. Anyone interested in the emergency exit today?
If needed only.
If needed only, yeah. In emergencies.
Right.
Oh, the boat broke.
Kylie. All right. Does everyone hear the rushing water behind me? Yes. All right. And everyone signed waivers, correct? Great. If you guys could go ahead and grab onto this middle bar for me. We're about to enter our whitewater rafting portion of our cave tour. I'm joking. I'm joking. I always have to mess with people. It's very fun. You guys don't have to grab on the middle bar. What you actually hear behind me is the water rushing over our dam. We're about to go back there. You can hear it pretty loudly up here, which means it's even louder back there. Even with this mic, I won't be able to compete with it. You won't be able to hear me. So I'll be quiet. I'll shine my light around for you guys to see some really cool stuff. It also means though that I won't be able to hear you and any questions that you may have. If you have questions, please keep them in your beautiful, beautiful minds until we are on our way back out, and I'll be happy to answer them at that point. One more final, very important thing. We'll be going under another lower ceiling. We will not have to duck this time. If you would reach up, you might be able to touch it. Please, please don't do that. Please do not reach up and touch the ceiling. We have active cave formations on this ceiling, and we would like to keep them active. The oils on our hands can actually stunt their growth by about 200 years. And we want to avoid that. So if you guys could please do me a huge favor and keep your hands in your lap, that is something we greatly appreciate. And we're going to head on back to our dam. That's my bad. That's my bad. Sorry. You're not even close to it. I know. It's been really sensitive lately. completely off, and I don't usually do that. My bad. Alright, this hole right in the middle of the boat, this is a hole that we drilled. Ceiling, in the middle of the ceiling, but you guys in the middle of the boat can see it. It's fine, Kylie. We are fine. This hole right here, this is a hole that we drilled. It's about between the urgent clinic and the bank on the surface above us. We drilled that hole in order to get all the materials needed to build the dam that we were just at. They're right there. Right here you can see some of our horned coral fossil that we have in the cave. These were left behind from when Kentucky was an ancient seabed. That means that they were older than the dinosaurs, or they are older than the dinosaurs. Right there. It's not even close. I also do the upper passageways. Alright, does anyone have any questions about the dam or anything that we've seen so far? No questions?
Did building a road on top of it affect this?
Yeah, yes. So, besides just, I mean, the road, we've always kind of had roads above us on the surface, and Kentucky has a lot of caves. Nowadays, there's a lot more regulations in place, but previously there haven't been, and so that's just one example of the road affecting the surface. I mean, we will get gasoline runoff, like if there's anything at all, a lot of stuff will drain down here and it can pollute everything, just like you saw with the flowstone. The cow pasture polluted and stained that. And so having the road above us, besides just the expansion, can have negative effects on the caves down below you, or like the caves that we're in now. Any other questions?
Has it always been that open, or was that?
The entrance?
Yes.
Yes. The entrance has always been about that. Depending on the season prior to us building the dam, the water level kind of changes. Normally, or there have been reports in the past where it would really be like about knee depth or calf depth, depending on your height. And people would use that wishing rock to navigate into the cave. They would put their hand up on it and go by, and that's why that rock is so dry nowadays, because it's been stunted a lot. Any other questions? No? Alright, let me see if we can see. Sometimes along these shores we can see some of our cave crayfish that we have. That is unfortunately some litter that I see right over there. It's an aluminum can. We do have a bunch of other cave creatures. Is that the motor or is that a cricket? Well, I thought I heard a cave cricket. We might see some cave crickets. They like to hang out on that rock up there, so we'll check them out when we go up there. We have cave crayfish, and we also have southern eyeless cavefish here. If you've never seen either of those, they're about white, translucent-y, and you can see their organs and blood pumping through them. Yes, they're pretty cool. That's some of the stuff you can find in the water, but back up here on the surface, we have our upper passageways over here. In In these upper passageways, we have found two rooms. One is our Native American room. We have found arrowheads, spearheads, and we've even found a fire pit dug into the center of the room, which leads us to believe that they were most likely using this area as a trading post. They couldn't put down active roots here because we flood so often. The other room we have found is our Civil War room. And in it we have found bullets and buttons and our smoke writings. When they were taking a break from swimming and disappearing in the caves outside, in the blue holes outside, the Civil War soldiers came in here to explore, and they noticed that the lanterns and torches they were using were staining the top of the ceiling black. See, no crickets today. They did notice, though, that the methods they were using to light their way, the torches and the lanterns, were staining the top of the ceiling black, and they used that technique to write their names, ranks, and company information on the ceiling. If you look not directly at my spotlight, but just below it, you can see some of the remnants of those smoke writings. Other questions so far? Has anyone asked about bats already on this tour?
Nope.
No. That is a question that I always get. You don't want to know. So we don't have bats in here. Yes, we don't have bats in here. We're a flooding cave. They've found over many, many years that this is not a good place to be. If it does flood the entrance, they won't be able to get out. So they've learned not to be in here anymore. If we do get bats, it tends to be more so in the early spring, and we like to say that they're just looking for love in all the wrong places. We have one more fun story here for y'all. This is the spring that feeds our flowstone. Besides his cavern nightclub, Mr. Perkins also brought in 10-cent tours here to our cave. He would show them around, show them some of the cool stuff, and then also tell them a little story about Jesse James. Supposedly, Jesse James robbed a bank in Russellville, Kentucky, and on his way out, one of his gang members was shot, not fatally, and they came here to hide out, and on their way into the cave, they kidnapped the town doctor. They told the doctor, if you do a good job, we'll let you go. Doctor did a good job, they let him go, and he returned back out to the cave, told his wife. Wife spread the news around town that Jesse James was hiding out in this cave. Word eventually gets back to the sheriff and other lawmen, and sheriff says, I'm gonna be the one to catch Jesse James. He gathers together a posse of men, and they all camp outside the mouth of our cave for 3 days. And on the 4th day, a deputy comes running down the hill waving a telegram that said Jesse James had just robbed a bank 50 miles away. So how did he do it? How did he get out? Well, Mr. Perkins liked to tell people he drank from his lucky spring. And that gave him the luck that he needed to escape from the sheriff and all the other men unseen out of the cave. And for an extra 5 cents on this 10-cent tour, you too could have the luck of Jesse James. And so they would toss him a nickel, and they'd lean over and take a big sip. What else did Mr. Perkins have up on the surface? It goes moo, and it goes moo. Yeah, that is what we like to call pasteurized water. Yeah, not great to drink. If you had chosen our emergency exit today, you would be exiting right over there. Start heading on out of our cave, so if I could have everyone please look away. I have to shine my light down the center in 3, 2, 1, and I don't want to blind anyone. You will notice that the wishing rock has remained in place since we've been in the cave, and we will once again have to duck. So if you guys want to go ahead and start ducking down. It is just a tad lower on this end, so you may have to get just a bit lower. Alright, if there was anything wrong with your tour today, go ahead, stand up, tell me now. Sincerely though, we do appreciate you guys coming out, and we hope you had a good time on your tour. If you have any other questions, I'll be up behind you to answer them. You are also more than welcome to go over and check out the dance floor, the remnants of our nightclub. Check that out. I can answer questions about that. But before any of that happens, we do have to get off our boat here, which means I get to catch our boat on the dock, and I have to do a reprise of the awkward tour guide shuffle. So watch your knees, watch your hands, watch everything. Please don't tickle, poke, or pickpocket me as I head down. Then please do remain seated until I dismiss you. It helps reduce boat rocking. So if I can get my two here and my two here, y'all can come on. You guys were 4. You guys can come on down. Careful. And then line 3, you guys can come down.
Y'all can go ahead and start walking off. Just go slow, please.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sword. Okay, now you're fine. I know.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, darling. That was great.
Yeah, and that was our tour of Lost River Cave, again in Bowling Green, Kentucky. We're about to go over and look at the little nightclub area, which is pretty cool. And again, just wanted to mention Hannah was our tour guide, and she was great. She has to do theater. I mean, I'm just thinking the way she carries her voice and her delivery, she's got to do theater. If she doesn't, she needs to think about that. Maybe some stand-up too. She had good delivery. But yeah, she had some great jokes there. Had me cracking up a few times. Also, I wanted to mention too, she did do the whole, hey, it's, tip your guide thing at the beginning. I did not mind that at all. This is, kind of a nice little park area, cave tour, ran by students. And, especially in these times, I definitely, we ended up giving her a few bucks, and I saw a lot of people from the tour also did the same. I think everybody appreciated, what she was doing, so that was, I was glad to see that. And again, the price for two of us to go on this was under $50, which, might sound steep at first, but it's not. That's actually a very reasonable price for this sort of thing. And again, I like what they're doing. They're a non-profit. And, they're doing something pretty cool here. I've been here a couple of times before. I know I was here previously with my niece and my brother-in-law once. And it's just a cool place to come to. And Bowling Green is such a nice town. If you're in Kentucky or near Kentucky and you're around Bowling Green, it's definitely worth a stop. I mentioned that they've got the minor league ball team, the Hot Rods, a couple of great coffee shops in town that I like a lot too. I specifically wanted to mention Just Love Coffee. It's right next to the restaurant Griff's, and I like Griff's a lot. It's kind of like a McAllister's, but it's local, and they do a really good job. Just a couple places I like a lot. If you're going to be in Bowling Green, stop at Just Love Coffee, and also stop over at Griff's for a sandwich. And you'll be happy. And again, this video's clocking in at almost 50 minutes. So this tour was right at an hour, really, altogether. We did miss the first minute or two. Here in a little bit, we're actually going to pass another group going in, and I think pretty much all we missed was, where are your tickets at? So we really didn't miss much. But and Hannah, man, she covered it all. That was great. They have a really cute gift shop here too. I wanted to mention that. I should have gotten. Oh, and there's some more people coming off of boat tours. You wanted to mention they just have a nice gift shop. Even if you're not going to be able to do a cave tour, you might want to visit their gift shop if you're in the area. Just a nice one. And then they've got some grounds here. They've got some, if you want to do an hour or two's worth of hiking, you can definitely do that on the same day you do your cave tour. And again, I put up another video, pretty much of me and another buddy hiking around the grounds on a day when the cave was closed. Hey, and I liked this right here. They had a little sign up where you could tip your guide if you didn't have cash on you. You could send them an electronic payment. And I thought that was really, really nice. And again, especially in the times we're living in right now, you can't be too generous with your tips. Especially with young people doing a good job like these guys are doing here. There was some cool little bug I saw, and I just thought I'd videotape him. Man, does he stand out. Yeah, I just thought he was kind of neat. But yeah, I was really impressed with the young people working here on this particular day. Around the park, on the cave tour, in the gift shop. They were all friendly and pleasant. And this is just a fun place to come to. And again, it's not that far from Mammoth Cave. I know I've done weekend tours where I'll go down to Mammoth Cave, and there's 5 or 6 caves, not even in Mammoth Cave, in the Mammoth Cave Park area. There's independent caves, and there's several caves other than Mammoth Cave in this area you can go tour, and it's kind of fun to go down to Mammoth Cave, do their museum, do an actual Mammoth Cave tour, and then also go and visit some of the other caves in the area. And this one's, I don't know, maybe 25-30 minutes roughly from Mammoth Cave. So it's kind of a cool add-on to your Mammoth Cave trip. And we are heading out of their parking lot. We're leaving the Lost River Cave area. We're going to go up here and turn right. And just for the record, just so you know, there's their little visitor center gift shop area. Yeah, we're going to go up here and turn right. And we're going to be driving right over, basically on top of the main entrance to the cave. So that's kind of cool. Anyway, yeah, I hope you enjoyed that cave tour of Lost River Cave and Bowling Green with us.